Welcome back to Safaria's training course for educators. I'm Sarah Wachenfeld, Director of Education. Now that you've explored Safaria's library and experimented with our search features, it's time to create your own Torah content on our site. For the last several years, Safaria has partnered with schools and other Jewish organizations, so we've had the opportunity to watch both educators and students as they create sheets. Students as young as fourth graders have successfully created their own materials, while students as young as first graders have successfully navigated the site and added content to sheets. Being creators of Torah materials, or contributing to a sheet that is co-created by teachers or peers, empowers students and gives them a sense of ownership over the texts. It's also a great way to create a Judaic digital portfolio. This lesson will help you master the basics of sheets so that you and your students can begin to create. We'll focus right now on making a sheet from scratch, but these instructions will also be useful when you find a great sheet on Safaria and you want to adapt it for your own needs. Before you start creating a sheet, check that you're logged into Safaria. As a reminder, you'll know that you're logged in when you see this little person icon in the upper right-hand corner. Click on the icon to enter your account page. There are a lot of useful things here, and we'll discuss some of them later on, but for now, click on Sheets. This takes you into your own personal library of sheets. It's similar to opening your own files on your computer, and more similar to opening up your Google Drive, because everything that you create here is online. That means it's not saved on any one particular computer, and you can access it anywhere you have a device and an internet connection. As you can see, all my sheets are listed here. Your account page will look different because it holds your sheets if you've created any. Click Create a Source Sheet to start a new sheet. First, give your sheet a title. Click into the box that says New Source Sheet, and you'll be able to delete and type. I'll call this sheet Training Course. Now that you've given it a title and you've started to build something, click the Save button. This is the most important step because otherwise you could lose all your work. Your students may need a lot of reminding to get into this habit, but it's worth it. 3 things will happen once you click this button. The blue Save button turns into the blue Share button, which we'll talk about in a moment. And you'll notice an indicator on the top left of the screen that tells you whether your changes have been saved on Safaria. That way you'll always know if Safaria is connected to the internet and able to save your work. Also, you can see that my name shows up automatically underneath the title because Safaria knows that it's being created in my account. Now you can begin to add materials to your sheet. Every Safaria sheet starts with 4 options, and if you lose them, they also live in the Insert menu in the top left. The first option is for adding a source. Choosing this option lets you select a text from within our library and add it to your sheet. I'm going to imagine that I'm working on the theme of blessing, or bracha, and I'm going to add the first verses of the last parsha in the Torah, V'zot HaBracha, to this sheet. There are a few different ways to do this. Since I know the citation that I want, and I know where these verses live, I can type the citation into the Add Source bar. As with our search bar, at the top of the screen, Safaria is aware of variant spellings and will try to suggest the right text. I'm going to type in Deuteronomy 33. Safaria suggests Deuteronomy, and I'll type in an exact citation, in this case chapter 33, verses 1 through 5. Press Enter or click Add Source, and the source will appear on your sheet. Alternatively, if I'm not exactly sure of the citation, I can use the Browse Sources option to add a source to my sheet. Clicking on Browse Sources will allow you to look through our library of texts, select the one that you're looking for, and I'm going to scroll down to get to the chapter that I want. And then you can click and drag to select the verses that you'd like to add to your sheet. Click OK, and the verses will be on the sheet. The next button allows me to add a text that isn't in Safaria's database. Clicking on Text gives me a box that I can use for typing or copying and pasting. Click on the Aleph, the A, or the Aleph A to control which languages you'd like to add in, and then you can go ahead and type into these boxes, or you can copy and paste from anything digital, from an online source, from your hard drive, and then simply click Add to Sheet. The third option is to add media to a sheet. This is a great way to create a more engaging and dynamic sheet. You can add the URL of a YouTube video or an online image and click Add to Sheet, or upload an image directly from your hard drive. For example, I'll have my students find contemporary movie or TV clips that reflect the theme of blessing and add them to their sheets. The final option is Comment. This is where I'll write instructions for my students, sharing my thoughts, asking questions, and telling them what to do next. This is also the button that I would have my students use to add their thoughts as they create sheets or add their ideas to a sheet that I've created. Simply type into the text box. In this case, I'll write questions, and then click Add to Sheet. Before I wrap up this video, I want to draw your attention to the Share button. We'll talk more about this in the next lesson, so don't worry about all the different features just yet. Let's start with this toggle. Sheets on Sefaria default to being private. That means that only you or someone with the link can see the sheet. If I toggle it to Yes, List on Sefaria, then the sheet is visible to all Sefaria users and anyone will be able to view your sheet. If you'd like to share the link with someone, you can do so by copying and pasting this URL into an email or sharing the URL however you wish. Otherwise, no one else will have access to your sheet. Because you're now an experienced Sefaria searcher, you know how valuable it can be to find other people's materials on Sefaria. As an educator, you may often have very specific ideas about what would be useful to you. For example, this sheet is about blessings, so when I search Sefaria, I'd like to find materials about bracha, blessing. And in an ideal world, I would find materials that were created for high school students, since that's the audience I'm imagining for the sheet. Finding that kind of targeted material would be great, and you can help make that happen. In this box where it says Add Tags, you can tag your sheet so that everyone knows what this lesson was used for. I'm going to tag this sheet Blessing, as well as Bracha, and also Simchat Torah, since that's the holiday I'll be teaching about. But I'm also going to tag it High School and 11th grade. This way, I give others the maximum amount of information about what I've created and why. In addition, at the top of this module, there's a box to write a summary to help others understand your sheet. When I create lessons for this course, I put my essential questions and learning outcomes into this summary box, and I hope you'll do the same. More on that in a later lesson. For now, the final step is to toggle this sheet to public. You don't have to do this with every sheet, but the more you share with the Sefaria community, the more we can all learn from each other. Then click Save, and your preferences have been saved. You can get back to this box at any time by clicking on the Share button again. The rest of this lesson will take you through more of the features on Sefaria sheets. Enjoy, and please remember to reach out to us if you need any support.